Hello, UMSL Digital viewers. This week we're meeting with Maurice Dawson at UMSL. Dawson is the Assistant Professor of Information Systems at UMSL, which is the only national security agency center of academic excellence in the St. Louis metropolitan region. Dawson is one of the keynote speakers this year at MDMC. So thank you for joining us, Professor
Thanks for having me.
So do you mind telling us a little bit about your field of study?
Sure. So my field of study is cybersecurity, and I also dabble in homeland security as it relates to cyber. So looking at issues such as Internet of Things, Internet of Everything, hyperconnectivity, looking at items such as digital currency, how it can be used for like terrorist or illicit activity. Looking at encrypted email, data at rest, data in transit for terms of encryption. Looking at open source intelligence. So when people are using social media, and they're sharing information about where they are. They're taking selfies like every 20 minutes, younger generation, I guess. And looking at how that actual data, the metadata contained in those pictures, can be extracted and used against them. So, say you're taking a selfie, you go to the gym, you're using Foursquare, take a selfie. You're on LinkedIn, you're posting an update here. You go to your Facebook page, you post updates as well. And actually how those photos can actually be stripped of EXIF data is the actual format, the format for the photos and audio, and how that can actually have GPS location, so you have latitude, longitude, the type of camera that was used to take, how far the camera was actually away from the individual. And so with all that, you can start to create an analysis of that individual. So I can say, all right, well, this is the type of camera that was used to take these photos. I can see what type of mobile devices use that camera. It's like, oh, this is the camera for the mobile devices. And then I can look at the actual, the quality of the actual photo. I can say, oh, this photo has, 4 megapixels or whatever. And then looking at the megapixels tied to the camera, I can kind of guesstimate the type of mobile device that person's using. So now I know their mobile device. And now I can say, all right, well, I'm going to, say it's one of these 3 mobile devices. From there, I can say, all right, well, I'm going to look at the vulnerabilities associated with these mobile devices, or perhaps default settings. Obviously, if they're not turning off their GPS tags, maybe, just maybe, they're also not ensuring that their device is hardened for security. So now I know how to attack their mobile device. Now, if I'm a stalker, which I'm not, don't worry, Facebook Live, but if I'm a stalker, I can just do an analysis on when those actual photos were taken and where. So over a period of time, maybe a few months, we'll say 4 or 5 months, I can just look at a pattern analysis of where those photos were taken and say, oh, well, every Tuesday this person's at this gym. Every Wednesday they're here and they're at this class, or I can look and see what's going on. There's a tool called Maltego, and I use it a lot for my research. And so I can look at a photo and I can extract the actual GPS location of that photo. And then I have the GPS location, the lat and longitude of that photo. And then from there, I can look at tweets that were sent from that location to that location. And so I can see all the people in various radius. I can say 100 meters, 200 meters, 400 meters, or 1,000 meters. And I can see all the different tweets from that location to that location. And so from there, I can, create. And then with the tweets, 144 characters, people say, oh, it's only 144 characters. But in 144 characters, you have to say a lot, right? You have to pretty much put your thoughts out there in just that short amount of characters. You can actually do text analytics on those actual tweets. And so Twitter, Facebook, and a number of other social media organizations, they allow you to create an API that you can actually write your own code, and they'll interact with these social media accounts. Now, you're not supposed to be using this for anything malicious, but it's not like anyone's really checking. So you can go and you can create a Python, PHP, whatever language you're accustomed to, and you can say, all right, I'm going to go write in Python to work with this JSON API or whatever, and I'm going to actually, every 200 tweets, I'm going to look for a particular hashtag, and I'm going to pull those tweets in. And you can start pulling those tweets in, and then you can actually use a tool called RapidMiner. They have a text analytics plugin, and you can actually start mining that data, saying what's being said, create word clouds, like what are these popular words that they're saying and stuff like that.
Wow, that's really interesting.
It's very interesting. And even more interesting, so when I look at it from a steganography. So when I look at that, and that's basically encrypting, a message in a photo, you can actually create a hash. So say you have a picture of somebody who's still popular. I don't know, Trevor Noah, right? The comedian off the Daily Show. So, maybe there's some Trevor Noah fans out there, and so individuals post pictures of him, and there's a hashtag created by a malicious group, some crazy hashtag, but people just retweet the picture because they say, oh, it's the funny guy. I'm going to retweet these pictures, but there's actually a message hidden in that photo, and so that would require an individual to actually download the photo that's being tweeted, and then find the original photo and compare the actual picture size, and then from there they can say, oh, well, this photo is the size of it twice as much as the original. There has to be something hidden in this photo.
Wow. Okay, so you would have to actively be aware of those types of things before
Correct.
you just retweet. Wow. Okay. So with WikiLeaks revelations and potential CIA methods of surveillance through electronic devices, and your field of study seems to be very popular with this, how important is cybersecurity for big businesses and small businesses?
Well, it's extremely important. So I came from the Department of Defense, and I worked defense and aerospace for years. And in defense and aerospace, since the 80s, cybersecurity has been big, right? It was called automated information systems. Then we used something called the Orange Book, which is a rainbow series. It was a series that each computing book was based off a color. Then we went to DITSCAT, which was Department of Defense Information Technology Security accreditation, certification accreditation process. Then we had DICAT, which was the successor, and now we have the NIST Risk Management Framework, the Special Pub 853. I think they're on revision 4. So the DoD has had all these, but the commercial sector is now saying, hey, we're getting ransomware, people are stealing accounts, they're having all these particular issues, and you're using social media, and then with the Internet of Things, everybody wants to have something Internet enabled, right? Or even Bluetooth. There's a pan that is Bluetooth enabled and Internet enabled, and it tells you when to flip your omelet or your meat so you can actually cook better. Now, I don't cook myself. I mean, I'm pretty bad. I burn everything. So this would be great for me, but I feel uncomfortable having a device that's unsecured and is connected to my Wi-Fi. You think of the type of data you can get. So people, when the WikiLeaks came out with the revelation that people can spy on these devices, your TV and your refrigerator. I mean, it's unsecured. I mean, it doesn't take rocket science. It's all Internet enabled. You would have to go in and even with your router, you have to make sure you have patches and stuff. You should be patching your router. You have anything that's Internet enabled, it needs to be secured. So the issue is you have embedded systems, and these embedded systems use sometimes outdated versions of an operating system that have tons of vulnerabilities. And you're like, oh, well, I have my refrigerator, I'm just going to connect to my Wi-Fi. Well, now your refrigerator is a weak point in your network. Wow. And then people, they're like, well, what data can you get from a refrigerator? Well, if it's attached to your email, I can get maybe your shopping list. I can start doing a behavior analysis, like when do you actually buy groceries. If you're emailing, the shopping list is constantly being emailed to you, and it's the same products, maybe you're on vacation. Maybe it's the time for you to be robbed, right? So, and then I can know, and then even if I'm not doing anything malicious, say if I'm a healthcare provider, and I can look at the type of food that's on your shopping list, say, oh, well, I'm going to charge this person a higher rate because there's lots of candy, there's lots of alcohol, there's lots of items in here that are not healthy. Now I need to probably jack up this person's rate.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Nest, right? You look at Nest, which is a Internet-enabled thermostat. So the Nest does tons in terms of data analytics. It tracks weather, the optimal temperature for your home, when you actually walk by it. So it tracks, when you're actually there in the home. So when you walk by it, it tracks. And then plus, when you're away, it changes to what is appropriate for the home to, save the most money but still keep it cool. Somebody takes all those analytics, and especially over time, they can say, oh, this is what this person does on a nearly daily basis, and they can break it down by hour, by minute, by second. They say, oh, this is what is actually going on in the patterns in this house.
So you could learn a lot.
Yes, just from data. So, when the revelations first came out with Edward Snowden, and people were like, well, what is metadata? What can you learn with just data? Well, now you have data science, you have business intelligence, and that is simply like the intelligence field. Being able to capture the data, and then you have to do an analysis on that data. Once you do an analysis on that data, you can do a lot. like you take a classroom, right? You take a classroom, you have Caucasians, African Americans, Hispanics, Indians, Chinese, males, females. From the high level, it's just a class. But if you're actually trying to sell a product and you're trying to do market segmentation and actually target a particular group, now I know how many Chinese students are there. I can learn their age, and I can see where they live at, and I can know their income. And so you can just derive more and more stuff. I can say, oh, this person's from Beijing. They're living in Beijing, so they probably have this type of income because they're living in this neighborhood. They're probably they have this type of affluence, or if they live in rural China, okay, maybe we can assume that they're maybe lower income, maybe a bigger family. They can just create these assumptions and use that to target individuals.
Okay. Wow. So on April 12th from 3 to 3:30, you'll be speaking on hacking, privacy, and security in a hyper-connected society. Do you mind going in and giving us a little sneak peek of this?
Okay, sneak peek. All right, sure. So with what I'll be talking about Internet of Things, Internet of Everything, and hyperconnectivity, and pretty much going through how all these scenarios play out. So you talk about the internet-connected car, you talk about the home, HVAC, and all that stuff. You talk about just from the consumer standpoint, and then going through talking about how all these digital footprints, all these digital footprints you're leaving, how are they actually leaving you vulnerable and things that you need to do as a consumer. So you have a car that has internet, great. So you have kids, I have kids, they're in the back, they have their tablets, and they can actually access the internet, but it's unsecure. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean someone could go in and stop my car from moving, or they can actually start tracking where I'm driving to and kind of see not only where I'm driving to, but actually the shows that my kids are actually watching. So you can run tools like Wireshark, which is open access, is open source, and you can run and see the network traffic. You can see what data is actually encrypted, what data is unencrypted, what is the actual traffic, and they can say, oh, well, this is the traffic that's coming from Dawson's car. We can probably guesstimate what the kids are watching, and then with the issues in fake news, then you can start targeting people specifically. So it's like, oh, I know these are kids, they're impressionable, I'm going to give them fake news. And now you're raising a kid on fake news while the parents are trying to be productive. And it's it's a way of doing the unspeakable. Right? So in certain places like Pretoria, South Africa, they are known as now the Eldorado of Espionage. So they had 64 intelligence spies there. So from Mossad, I think Saudi Arabia, Senegalese, and so there's areas that are being targeted a lot by spies, and they're actually on the ground. But with the hyper-connected society, you don't have to do that. You don't have to risk someone actually going to collect for intel. They can just do it remotely. Oh, wow. They can just capture all they want.
Wow, so super hyper-connected.
Yes. Yeah.
So what types of people would benefit from your topic?
Well, so it would practitioners, so people that are actually in industry, people that are managers, people that have to do with anything with technology, pretty much anybody. So I will be talking about from the practitioner standpoint or from the managerial leadership standpoint, and then also from the everyday consumer of these actual devices.
Oh, cool. So basically everyone.
Everyone.
All right. Awesome. Well, that's our time for today. So please remember to like UMSL Digital on Facebook and follow us on Twitter for more updates on MDMC 17. And please also remember to register for MDMC 17 at UMSLDigitalConference.com and come and listen to Dawson's full keynote address on April 12th at Union Station. Thank you, Professor
Thanks for having me
with us.